few years ago, when I first started out with this research, aware of something suspicious going on with buildings around the world. So I would make spreadsheets like this, where I would track cathedrals, mosques, churches, temples, government buildings, libraries, museums, lighthouses, castles, forts, bridges, and things like that. Armchair tour, virtual style, collecting pictures and seeing what I could see. And this has been a slow work in progress in the background, behind the scenes. In some of these countries, you can see there's a lot of gaps here, but some of these nations are getting near to completion. So I figured we might as well start with one of the ones that was an early finisher. One that may surprise you, the amount of depth of old world and yet very similar structures that we find in our closest neighbor, which shouldn't come as a surprise, but it still is. And without any further ado, Mexico. This is not some sort of a quintessential end-all be-all view of all the architecture in Mexico. It's not that at all. What we're doing is we're looking for similarities in structures here that we find all across the realm, in the manner that this shouldn't exist, in the way that our history is taught to us, and exploring the theory that perhaps we were once a much more united realm than they would lead us to believe. This is more of just a feast for the eyes. So without any further ado, I give you Cathedral in Mexico City at a very early age. And what do you see? It looks like it comes from World's Fair. We see piles of rubble on the sides of the road. Looks like the roads are being, I want to say laid. Look at it looks like almost they're being cleaned up or repaired. You got the strange dichotomy here. You horse and buggy, leading you to believe that it's very old. But then in the background here, you have these trolleys. You can see the trolley wire here. So maybe this is just a strange picture taken a little bit out of context to make it look like super old and primitive. What a day when they're just digging up the road. I don't know. But in any case, the architecture here, as you would expect, and these antennas and the whitewashed sky, looking very similar to every photograph we see in this era. Here looks like an even older one. This is a different cathedral. This is in Chihuahua, the Cathedral of San Francisco. This is in Aguascalientes. This is the Cathedral of Nuestra Señora de la Asunción. It's Our Lady of the Assumption. You have this wonderful old World's Fair era looking structure. Looks like it's missing a tower. Got the dome back here and dirt road. Potholes, really. There's a trolley wire, it looks like, so I don't know. Make of it what you will. And here is a modern day, the National Archive. And it just, happens to look like a castle. But it's not. Natural Archive, that's all. There was no doubt probably a fountain here, looks like, which would make sense from what we know. Now, some of these I'd have no information on. Some of these pictures I just found without any context. This is Casa de Azulejos. Maybe a museum down here? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a business. But look at the detail on this. I mean, this is not really great resolution, but it's just unbelievable. I'm assuming these are tiles. These are handmade tiles. And just, what a stunner. And you would think with all the hardships Mexico endures for a nation that somehow never really got it together, we're told. For it to have the wealth to make something like this is just incredible and doesn't really jive with what we're told. This is an interesting one with this bizarre, different material from this. I have the notes down here. I have a Cuernavaca Palacio in Cortez, and it looks like it's a library now. This is just fascinating. This, obviously the clock originally didn't go here. This looks like a cannon, leading to my personal theory that what we call cannons or batteries are indeed that. They are actually just capacitors. And this one looking very capacitor-like and very out of place, which is what I think these turrets were for. They used to house capacitors to amplify whatever signal that the star forts and the other structures were generating. And this is just loose theory, but this in particular, the fact that it looks like it's made of completely different material, completely out of place, makes it look like a piece of tech. I don't know how else you explain that. This is in Mexico City, photograph of 2015. I'm looking how out of place it looks in this mess. And looking absolutely stripped of its ornamentation. I imagine that at one point it was much more ornate. You can kind of tell, even by these empty plates and things. And a lot of it's been removed. But you get the three doorways and the structure clearly going further down than this would allow it to. Like an old power station to Mall Brian. Well, this is a museum, and I note the top here, all these little usual we find here. This looks like it could be anywhere in Europe. This old world facade and these little mini balconies. This is in one of the Grand Square. This is the Palacio, the Governor's Palace, part of it. And there's a lot of pictures of this one because it's really an incredible structure. This is San Ignacio Mission. Get your four-pronged tower here and your very vague religious symbol up here, or antenna item. Get the bells, all the usual things that you find everywhere on Earth. Why would Mexico be any different? This is San Sebastian Martir bell tower. This one looking like it almost came later. I would think that this is perhaps one that was built in homage to the others. This one doesn't have the same level of refinery as you see in some of the very old ones. Like this one, for example, this is a Templo de San Diego. And despite it being sort of looking like it's been painted and repainted 1,000 times and quite dulled down, definitely much of the old world still retained in its character. And here we have Vista San Juan de Ulua. And look here, this is a star fort, essentially, on the water, as you would have guessed. And look here, you have this, what I believe to be a capacitor, looking like it's the same material as the other one. Kind of stands out, doesn't really seem to fit in there. So I'm not sure what that is. But I do recall that many of the old obelisks were originally composed of red granite, too. And I'm not saying that's red granite, I'm saying I don't know what that is. But it is odd that it stands out. Here's a poorly shot picture of a lost rebel soldier amidst the backdrop of this quite wonderful and quite damaged-looking cathedral, perhaps? And just look at the door, the massive door, and you have the regular-sized door here. Like, what is the point of that? Unless people are that tall, or it's used for something else. I don't know. Skip that blurry guy. Well, here's a random aqueduct in the middle of nowhere. Aqueducto del Padre. And allegedly, the aqueducts the natives couldn't have built them. They were built by the Spaniards, who, after they conquered these cities, wanted them to have fresh water. I don't know. It makes no sense to me, but what an amazing feat out here. It's a shame that these are pretty blurry. Diana Cazadore sculpture. Topless and looking very wild. This fountain here. There you've got your General Ignacio Zaragoza horseman statue up here in this very blurry picture. There's another stunning old world fountain here. Iglesia de San Cristobal. This is in Puebla and just absolutely breathtaking. The dome, the whole thing is just fantastic. Here you've got the star. Here you've got your herringbone patterns. Just gorgeous. Here's a shot taken from a skateboard video. If you can see through the mishmash of electric wires, this is another temple. Templo de Nuestra Señora de la Luz. This is also in Puebla. Got these interesting little tile mosaics. Tepoztlan are my notes here. That's what that means. And these angels looking very suspiciously like the eagles that we know so well. But maybe not. Maybe they're a later edition. I can't go into too much of speculation. This is Zacatecas. And just look at the detail on that thing. Golly. And what is the point of this? You know this has to house something. This is some technological feature. Or why would you waste the effort, huh? Why would you expend all the effort for that little tiny bit? Barely you can't even see it. Can definitely live without it. This is a Cathedral de la Santísima in Trinidad, Atlan de Navarro. This is not the same as the last one, although the color might have you thinking otherwise. And very interesting that you have this symbolism up here. Make of that what you will. This is the Cathedral de la Inmaculada Concepción, Cordoba. This is in Veracruz. Another old world stunner, as you'll probably get tired of me saying. The church, St. Gabriel. Not sure about this one, but I'm sure you kind of see what I see. This is ruins, Acunmal, and it's probably not very well known, but the extensive pyramids and ruins in Mexico. Just the sheer amount of them blew my mind. Here looks like, what to me looks like a broken aqueduct that they've sort of turned into a fountain, but maybe it was supposed to be like this. Kind of hard to say. Aguateca Plaza, and there are just numerous ruins like that. Now, I'm not sure about this one. Oh, look, Brian Eno's coming to town. It looks to me like a giant speaker. This is an art gallery, which still possesses much of the little finials and rooftop devices. I'll look a little closer. It'll show you the infinity wreath. Another church here, San Miguel. Interestingly enough, looking like a lot of these have this sort of field stone, leading to me to believe that at one point perhaps maybe these were rebuilt and used some of the original brick to sort of encase it in. I'm not sure. Here's a look down Avenida Hidalgo. Just stunning. Really, the whole thing is just beautiful. The use of this pink stone, which must be a local thing. The Balcón Principal del Palacio Nacional. So cool. And yet, it's got its own local flair, but it looks so similar to everything we see everywhere. And I mean, when I figured out the amount of these buildings over in Mexico, I was stunned. And I've seen Mexico City. I've seen some of these, but I still didn't realize the sheer volume of them. This one looking more like an Armenian palace, but nope. This is another Basilica de Nuestra Señora de Talpa. Same dome, same double tower, four-pronged tower here, the same as we see everywhere. This just looking so ancient, so otherworldly. The big chalice. all of it. And I just don't believe that Spain sent every master craftsman ever unable to just construct all this stuff in just a few hundred years. There's no way. This is in Oaxaca. This is this absolute mind bender. And then, of course, you have the ruins. Actually, this one might be in Belize. Maybe I got this wrong. Here we have the usual submerged foundation down there, guarded by rail, and you could find this building just about anywhere in the world. This one I just found to be so bizarre with these columns holding up what appears to be billions of bricks. And I believe this to be a repurposed something. This is a boarding house, I believe. And yeah, these are in no particular order, if you haven't noticed, but there's another one of the various vast, many pyramidal type ruins. This one's Calakmul, and you see the little person up here. Give you an idea of how large they are, and looking rather scorched. So no telling what happened here. But I bet it had something to do with fire. What a detective. Look at this amazing, this is beautiful. This is a seat in central Calle del Centro de Morelia. Just mind-blowing. How beautiful. And how many? This is El Zocalo, the famous plaza. And this is in Campeche. It's a pirate town, basically. A Mexican pirate town with one of the most... We've covered one of the star forts there before and seen this one. Yeah, again, get the two towers up front, the dome in the back, the same structure that we see in all these, and mosques everywhere. Carved panels. This very strangely foundationed area, looking like several different eras. I believe this is a mausoleum. I'm not really sure what this little old world thing is, but I like the look of it. This is Casa del Lago. Not sure if that means anything to anyone. And this is the Museum of Natural History. Just, I don't even know how to begin to describe this. I mean, the staircase over here gives you an idea of the scale. It looks like all this was underground at some point. Or if anything, it was a big fort. I mean, I don't know why you build a museum like that. The Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. Looking rather stripped down, but still very fancy, and no doubt of the influence. Just look at that thing, man. Looks rather modernized, but what a beauty. And I'm not sure if this is the one we looked at before. I think it is. This is the one in Chihuahua, but still different look here at the symmetry, but this little statue here. And this is, all looks similar. It is very different, but this is also in Chihuahua. This is in Ciudad, this is in Juarez City. This is the Cathedral de Corpus Christi. Again, look, this one looks like it came along at a little bit of a later date. Sort of a made him imitation of. When I see that field stone like that, it just doesn't have the same look as these. The dove that you find on all these churches. This is in Cathedral de Cuautitlan, Cathedral de la Asunción. Just absolutely incredible. And yeah, maybe you're getting cathedral fatigue. I wouldn't blame you. There are so many of them that it really just blows your mind. This is in Mexico City. Unbelievable. This is the Puebla Cathedral. And look at the doors here. We have the regular size humans, and then what is the point of these three doorways being so large? I really don't know. Except enough to blast something out of, like sound, maybe. Man, this is just so amazing. And we get the very vivid Mexican colors, reds and yellows. Cathedral de Tampico. You can tell by the dome the age of some of these. And still they impress. This is the Nuestra Señora de la Asunción. Another cathedral here with the same setup. Two towers, seemingly missing a components inside. Dome in the back. Same here. Two towers, the three doors, the dome in the back. This is a Cathedral de Toluca. Breathtaking as ever. Here's one in Veracruz. Jesus, look at the size of that dome. It's balloons. Really, what an amazing building. God dang. How could they have it in them? How could anyone actually believe that Spain did all this? These things were here. Cathedral de Villahermosa, Cathedral de Yucatan. Look at that hallway, if you can call it that. The same. Two towers, three doors, everywhere you go. Yet another Cathedral de Zamora, Michoacan. I might be butchering some of these words, and for that I do apologize. Clock looking very out of place. Looks the rest of this. Just a stunner. Stunner after stunner. Looks like the same. No, it's not. It's different. Durango. And this one's got two domes. Different clock placement. Plus it's a different time. That's how you know. This looks like this one. Just looks like they repainted it. Yeah. They painted over that field stone here. Freshened it up. I kind of like this look better, personally. This is a Metropolitan Cathedral. Just nothing to see here. It's on the side of the road. The most breathtaking cathedral you've seen. Here's another one here. And just unbelievable. This one is in Guadalajara. Absolutely incredible domes here. I feel like this is not very informative. And really, it's not supposed to be. This is a feast for the eyes. This is a wake-up call to anyone who thinks that Mexico is just a bunch of peasants. And, my personal belief behind this is in Acapulco. I think this is probably a modern one, but it looks kind of space age. Got these orbs here, a little suspect. But this is in Acapulco. This is decoration for the Day of the Dead. I feel like the cartels that so much credit is given to is, the boogeyman for destabilizing the region. America thinks it's okay to launch remote missiles at people like terrorist targets halfway across the realm, but do nothing about the cartel on their border. One gets the distinct sensation over time that, that they really are in cahoots with the cartels, and that's why they won't do anything. It has nothing to do with morality. We're not going to interfere. I mean, has there ever been a poorer nation or a more unstable nation next door to a stable nation? I don't think so. The reason that Mexico is the way it is because America wants it to be that way. It'd be very easy to lift them up out of this. But they won't do it for political reasons and for monetary reasons. It always comes down to slavery, slave labor, whether it's through the prisons or it's through debt. But that's really the end game, is to keep us all enslaved and to force migration again and again and again and again. It's really embarrassing and really shameful. Here you have the ruins of past peoples, and that looks like a giant dome that's collapsed, or if anything, a very modern-ish cathedral building. It's been just wiped out. Church of Our Lady of Guadalupe. This is in Puerto Vallarta. Look at that. Look at that bad boy. This one's in Mexico City with this stunning tile work. I'm not even sure. It's like just paint and etching. And this one is just so many different artistic styles here. So very, very cool. And very eye-opening to the sheer number of ruins here. And I feel like next time I go, if ever I return, I will be looking with a closer eye. And here you have a little star-shaped fountain in the middle of the courtyard, as we see everywhere in the other continents. This is a museum courtyard, west court of a temple in the middle of a jungle, and ready for brain melted. Boom! This is the cupola inside one of these cathedrals, and I don't even know what it is my eyes are seeing. It's so breathtaking. This gold leaf, and it's so overwhelming. It's staggering. Staggering amount of detail. These twisted golden columns and everything, just how unbelievable is that, man? Quite breathtaking. This one looks like it's been sealed up for some reason. No doubt vandals. That is very cool. I love that intricate layers and layers of art. And like I said, what a place of wonder. It really is. This is in Colima. Real shame that we aren't able to master our own government here and make them work for us the way they're supposed to, so that we can then, lift all ships in this rising tide. Obviously, this land was full of splendor and wealth, and it's just been taken, just plundered from the people, and they've been forced into playing political games they're not particularly good at because they don't want to be. This breathtaker. And you don't have to go to Egypt, folks, to find pyramids and mysteries. Look no further. This is an art museum in Aguascalientes, I believe, if my notes are correct, of course. El Templo de San Hipólito, and a very intricate little doorways here. This is a convent, Franciscano de Calpan. And just temple after temple after temple after cathedral after cathedral after cathedral everywhere you look. And I know this is the first little country we've gone through, but I wonder what we'll see in other lands. I wonder if it'll be the same. Look at the door here. Just look at it. Just look at all of it. Just feast your eyes on this old world splendor. The little urns up here. Same friggin' thing everywhere. This is a San Juan. Love this column here. Let's get this vine wrap around it. This is in Veracruz, and I tried to only take one example of each. I tried not to do duplicates, but it may have happened. Just look at that one. My God. Just amazing. It's a little lighthouse here. Very old world. Fountains galore. This I find interesting because you often see these as part of temples. But here it's actually wheels to a carriage, making me wonder if those other ones that we see are actually petrified wooden wheels. I don't know. This is a star fort, Fuerte de San Carlos. Little capacitor on the end there, and a rotunda. It's no doubt been converted into some sort of monument. This is in Guadalajara. And here, also in Guadalajara, you have unbelievable picture here. Just look at that. My God. This is in the state of Puebla, this chateau, which should be in France somewhere. Note the red and white color. We'll get into that. Hipólito Reforma. Look at this. Look at the carving on these rocks, if that's what it is. This, I believe, is now a hospital. Looks like you got a missing dome here. And an old castle here. The red and white everywhere. Very conspicuous. This is in Puebla. This stunner. Iglesia de la Soledad. Same premise. 3 doors. Human-sized doors. Dome. Double tower. Iglesia de San Lorenzo. Here's Iglesia Concepcion Contreras. The symmetry here between the fountain. This is the inside of the Templo de San Antonio in Aguascalientes. Just gorgeous. And you see our typical veined roofs here with the little resonators. Same little symbols everywhere. Same ionic columns. Just fantastico. Just fantastic. And here, in Isla Perez, a red and white striped lighthouse. Imagine that. This one looking like it's still being excavated, perhaps. And just unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, I knew going into this what I was going to find, but I'm still just stunned. San Cris Main Plaza is your octagonal or hexagonal bandstand, we would call it, or sometimes it would be merry-go-round or something here, but obviously this is a piece of machinery that we just sort of playing around because we don't understand what we're doing. Just another random temple here buried in the jungle. Nothing to see here. Man, what I wouldn't give did you wander around these places. No wonder they're so unsafe, because that's what they don't want. It's a museum here. Incredible museum, my God. And there, Los Pinos, looking like it should be in Greece. I can't even begin to comprehend what I'm looking at here. Matamoros Cathedral. Yet again, another mind bender. This is Mayapan Castillo, Yucatan. Casa Marquesa and Uluapa. Oh my God. There you go, another little bandstand. You're right. And of course, the Mexican capital. The most mind-melty of mind-melters. And look at that on the top. Wowie wowie. What else would you expect? What else would you expect? This? Because this is there too. They got that too. Look at these things. Eat your heart out, Egypt. And boosh. You want Staffets? Mexico's got Staffets. A classic, man. This is a classic shuriken style. I mean, no mystery about that. This is the epitome. This is the paragon. And again and again. One of the first times we've seen one of these rose windows still intact. This one, look at that old cell tower look. Just never ceases to end. Another look at the Capitol here. And look at that. Where have we seen one of these before? Just look at that. That archway. Just amazing. And it all started here. Same little fonts. Tacky little sign hung up on a building. Repurposed with these old angels on the top. These antennas. Whatever that is. That line right there. But yeah, we're supposed to believe that they brought the material on these, across these roads, this paved road here, built all this. Yeah, right. And look at that. Just like in San Francisco, you got this, her holding out the Taurus. Just, just for show. They've got money to burn. Remind you all, the hints left behind, how to do it. Look at that. There's people up there, looks like. Wow, you can just go in that? You can enter that? Wow, that's fantastic. If I'm seeing that right. How incredible is this? Mexico City? My God. And what have we here? That's interesting. The fountain. I mean, if this doesn't open your eyes that something going on here, not exactly what they're telling us. Maybe you knew maybe you knew Mexico looked like this. I mean, maybe you did. I don't know. I didn't know. I was surprised. So this is a picture in 1900, by the way. 1900, and this was in 1904. In 1905, everything looking, very rural, except for this. This is a 1904 photograph of the pyramid, actually looking more like a dome, making you wonder if indeed a lot of these pyramids are actually just collapsed domes, which would make sense. These are taken somewhere in Mexico City, random. Just random shots of these amazing things. This is a monument here with a copper top, for no reason. Aesthetics, I guess. The Iguana House, this one is called. God, size of iguana you got. In your usual patio courtyard with a step up, which I believe used to be very shallow fountains. But again, these are just my theories that I can't prove, so feel free to ignore them as you will. Just the ramblings of a madman. Nothing to see here. It's another look at that thing, that monument of the revolution. It's just incredible. And you do wonder, this is Morelia Cathedral. Mini dome over here. God damn. What an absolute looker. And you got it like this. Past, far past, near past, present. Or maybe past, present, future. I don't know, that's a little darker look, but yeah, just a regular museum, in poor Mexico. Nothing to see here. This one as well. Who knew that everyone in the world had the same exact style? Who knew that everyone on Earth there's no creativity, just everyone just is the same way, came to the same conclusions and built the same things everywhere on Earth. I would have thought we'd be a little bit different. Now this is interesting. These quote-unquote stone protrusions, I mean, if I didn't know any better, that is wood. These are wood posts. Like we've showcased before, they still build like this in Africa, and some of the Navajo buildings even have this. These are wooden posts to increase the structures of the floors. They look like stone, because this whole thing was probably underwater once for, God knows how long. They just eroded all of it, calcified it, petrified it, whatever you want to believe. Why would they make a little rock? That makes no sense. That's actually good evidence for that. I don't think I noticed that before. Here's the Oaxacan Cathedral on the side of it, and Layers and layers of the flooring here. This is a government palace in Chihuahua. Very necessary, I'm sure, for each office to have its own mini balcony and be dressed out like a classic Greek building. You know, those Greek-Mexican ties, you know, very close. Ah, here you are, a little conquistador. A little sign, a little clue that, yes, we too have been conquered. Clearly. Look at that palace. My God. Man, this is allegedly a governor's palace. I mean, that's what they suspect, but who comes up with these ideas? I don't know. Looking to me more and more like a collapsed dome, more and more the more I look at these, actually. But who am I? Just some guy. Just some guy with random ideas, talking to other people with other random ideas. A nobody. Ignore the spiral columns. Ignore the similarities.